Today we gonna talking about the principle of digital, the principle of the donor alignment for the digital health. I had the opportunity to attend the recent meeting about the principle of the donor alignment for digital health. I think this is a very good time and good opportunity for us that now the donor or the developing partner are now trying to align their investment on the digital health in the countries. So my topic, I will talk about this topic into in 4 points. One point is that what is the principle of the donor alignment for digital health, and then I will give you the information about the Winston Park meeting that I participated in December 2018, just last month. And the third point, I will give you what day the donor and the developing partner talking and what they plan to work together on this this principle. And then the last point is that what should we do as our community of network to respond to the principle of the donor alignment for digital health. Okay, the principle of the donor alignment for digital health has been starting around mid 2017 to early 18. A group of the donor they recognize that they have some challenge when they invest on the digital health in the countries. Right now, everyone realize that digital will transform. The digital technology will transform health, and everyone are working on this digital health. And they saw a lot of fragmentation among projects in countries. Part of that fragmentation of the project, the silo project, is from us in the country which has not collaborate. Part of the challenge is because of there is a lot of the donor or the developing partner has several projects in the country and they don't collaborate well. Sometimes the project is repeating project, and sometimes the project is not go along, and all these cause not just the unsuccessful of the projects, but also cause a lot of work and problem to the countries. So they come together in 2017 and to 2018 to come and thinking about how they can work together, and they come up with the 10 principles, which I will elaborate more about what is the what that principle are. And they have finalized their principle and agree to endorse all of those that principles in May 2018, and all of the 30 donor and developing partner come together at the World Health Summit and endorse this principle. And after that summit, they have a follow-up meeting in Winter Park, how they are going to operationalize this principle, and they also invited the countries and several countries to participate. I will tell you more about the country that participate in that meeting. This is all the around right now it's 30 plus to 40 plus donor and developing partner that endorse this principle, which means that they will follow this principle and they will work together along this kind of the principle. So the 10 principles of the donor alignment for the digital health or investment on the digital health in the countries has the three messages. Is that the way that the digital health is not just the technology, it involves a lot of there is a socio-technical, and there is a need the collaboration between people in the country and also among the projects that implemented in each country. The second message that all that donors are come up with, that they will try to align their investment on the digital health in the countries. And the third message that they will looking for the what they call the digital global goods, and they will focus on invest for the digital global goods. And I will talk about what they mean by the digital global goods. And this is all the 10 principles. And actually, the principles of donor alignment for the digital health are follow the previous principle that all the implementer, developing partner, and country working together. You may, I think many of you are familiar with what they call the principle for the digital development, which is developed since 2014, 2012, and then they drafting, consulting, and then they announce and endorse this the digital principle of the digital development. This principle cut across all domains, not just for health. And this is a principle for digital development. I think you may familiar with this, that all these principles is that the digital projects or the software or the digital investment should digital artifacts should design with the user. The principle is that the people who do the digital development should understand the existing ecosystem in the countries. And when they decide that kind of the digital tools, they should thinking to develop for scale, not just for one project. And thinking about the fourth principle is thinking about the sustainability. The project should be not the technology, but focus on the data. It should be data driven. The sixth principle is very interesting, that they endorse the use of the open standard, open data, and open source, which means that they encourage. This principle encourage that all the parties are open on the, employ the open standard. The seventh principle of the digital development is that reuse and improve all the previous already developed. They don't reinvent the wheel. Also, thinking and aware and working on and address the privacy and security. And the third one is that they should be collaborate. So this is the precursor of this is the principle that the precursor for the principle of donor alignment for investment. So to let you are not confusing, it means that those principles of the digital development or the developing partner and donor, they see that this is very useful. So follow up that. They know that they don't, they have a challenge of working together, the challenge of the fragment and silo of the system. So they come up with the principle of donor alignment for the digital health. And the principle of the donor alignment of the donor for the digital health is has 10 principles. The first one is that they agree that they will collaborate to align their investment for the nation, and they will focus on the nation that have, or the country that have the digital health, digital health strategy or the digital roadmap. The second principle is that they will prioritize on investment on not just the one project, but thinking about they call the digital global goods, which is mean that they will not reinvent. They will be those investment can be reused and be improved when they implement in another countries. The third principle is that they will determine and quantify the long-term cost, not just put the money, single time money, and then just left, and the country cannot sustain that kind of the project or the digital investment that they already invest. So this means that this principle, they will consider that after they left, the country can be sustained all these the project and be benefit for the countries, not just do the pilot and then left. The third one is that the fourth principle is that the donor will come together and monitor, track the progress, learning, and also working on the outcome of the digital health investment or the system that they do. The fifth principle is that among themselves, they will strengthening each other, the skill, the technical skill on their competency, like us in the country, which is we need the competency into developing our national health information system. They also will work together to strengthening their competency on tracking, investment, and knowledge and the awareness of the principle of the digital development. And the donor will, this is the key that talking about the priority or the direction that they will invest. They said they will invest on the digital technology in the country that have the digital health strategy frameworks, which is we have familiar that the country that has a roadmap, architecture, standard, framework, and also the privacy and confidentiality that frameworks. They will monitor this kind of the investment using, they call the digital health maturation continuum, which is the group of the donor and development. They develop the measurement called the digital health maturation assessment, which is how it sustained, if that projects be reused, can be scaled. That's the digital health maturations model, which is you can that all the donor and developing partner develop this kind of measurement assessment to monitor all the investment that they invest, and they will work or investment on the developing capacity or the competency of the of the digital tech skill of in the countries. Also, not just for themselves, but they will invest on the building capacity of the people. The next principle is that they will thinking about the scaling up sustainable, which is they will invest on the digital global goods, which can be reused in many countries. And the last principle that they among them, the developing partner, they will form the group to do the peer-to-peer learning. So I think they learn from from our network that we use the peer-to-peer learning about countries. I think all the developing partner they say that working as a network and use sharing information, use the peer-to-peer learning together would help. So all of these 10 principles they will be aligned, and they will work on this with these 10 principles. Now, what they mean by the global digital goods? So they define that the global digital goods is the digital health tool that can be adaptable and to different country and contexts, which is easy to implement and scale. It can adapt to different countries and contexts, not just produce or build the tools or the software or the system that can use only in one context. And they promote, like I mentioned earlier, that the donor are now embrace the principle of the digital development. That will be one of the principle is they will use open standard, open source, and open technology, and they will align their investment, which means that they will collaborate among the donor and the developing partner, and try and will do their best to align their investment when they going into the countries. The last one is that that global good has the quality of the interoperable across many systems. The example of the global goods that now are implementing in many countries, many countries is the DSIS2. I think right now almost at least 40 countries that use the DSIS2 as their national system for the monitor and evaluation information system. Sometimes you can hear that they call the DSIS2 as the WHO app, which means that the WHO or World Health Organization also endorse this kind of the global goods. Another example of the global goods is that the open health information exchange model or architectures. There are several global goods that they are developing now. So global goods, from this slide you can see that they have these 5 qualities: easy to implement and scale, adaptable in different contexts, and mostly are open source, and then developing partner or donor will come together and invest on that digital goods, and that global digital good consider about the interoperable when they implement among another system. So after they announced that principle in Berlin in World Health Summit, they have a follow-up meeting in Wilton Park in England in December. And most of the participants are donor or developing partner like Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, like UNSAID, like GIZ, NORAD, WHO, and Spider. This is all the participants that participate in that meeting. It's a 3-day roundtable meeting discussing about how they operationalize the principle and what next. They as the representative from the countries. When I attend this meeting, I feel like it's similar to our network meeting that we try to collaborate among our countries in Asia and South Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia and Pacific. That how we can share the knowledge among us. They also talking about the digital revolution will affect their organization too. So they will they think they need to kind of inform their peer in their organization and also work together. And they also look at the principle and thinking about the next step on this year or the short term, that how they can operationalize this principle into the real world. So in this meeting, I represent our network, Asia eHealth Information Network, and I share the experience of our peer-to-peer and how it works. And many donors advocate our network, like Mr. Kelvin from GIZ, and another like Miss Adele from USAID. Our network has been well recognized by all these developing partners, and I think they also see what we do, that we collaborate among the country. And I think they also think that if the donor also collaborate among them, not just tell us to collaborate and working together in the country, then this will be synergize the development of the digital technology and the digital health system in the country, which will lead to the universal, the success of the universal healthcare coverage, and also the universal, and also the sustainable development goal. So at the last day of the meeting, every organization planning that what each organization will do. All the developing partner, they agree to form the community of practice or working group among them, write our AHIN working council, and also that we have working, and they talk. They have a webinar. They have a meeting every month. Also include countries like. I forgot to mention to you that in that meeting there is several countries that kind of the reading country that the donor will be working with, the country that already have the national strategy for digital health, like Tanzania, Nepal, and also several countries in our network that they are considered that they will work together. Align their works in the country. So they, the developing partner and the donor also to cooperate among themselves and also collaborate with the countries. We in the country, we have to collaborate among stakeholders in the country too. So what we AHID should do is that I say that we will we will endorse this principle for sure, because of the principle is aligned with our principle. If you remember that we also working on the 4 strategy, right? We will build capacities among our members. We will increase peer-to-peer and asset knowledge exchange. We are thinking about standard and interoperability, and we also working about the sustainability governance, and all this align. We will, I think it align very well with our network mission and visions, and so we working together with them. I think this is a good opportunity that we collaborate, and then the developing partner also align and collaborate, and they not just come to us that you should collaborate and work in the country, but they also do their works, and both of the stakeholder, partner, donor, developing partner, and the country working together. So we will working with the developing partner in the regions to operationalize or realization of the principle in action. So what I think us as a network should do is that we should collaborate more in the country, and also collaborate among the country. We do more peer-to-peer sharing our knowledge, and also the mistake that we took, and then we will be share with our friends. And one tools that the developing partner and donor see that this could be help them to see all the projects in digital health project in the country is the digital atlas. So I think for our network, each country should work with WHO on populating all the digital health project in the digital atlas tools. This digital atlas tool is the kind of the inventory of the digital health projects in the country. If we do all inventory of these, then we can see that which project duplicate with which projects, and what should what direction that the country should invest, and working with the donor and developing partner, also inform and working with them. So this is the thing that I propose to the group, that we as a network can be can work with all the donor and developing partner. We advocate and we endorse this principle similar to the donor. So I will end my presentation. I would like to have any questions from the floor. So there is a question from Dr. Alvin that will the donor align what should be the ideal response of the country and the Ministry of Health? Should Ministry of Health call the donor to a discussion and talk about how the donor co-align behind the government e-health system? Perfectly, that is the good activity that we in the country should talk with or have a meeting or the discussion with the donor. Right now, you can see that the donor that endorse this include it also include WHO are the big uh, they are all the big donor or the development partner that work in many countries like Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, GIZ, USAID, and NORAD, and UNICEF. So this is a very good suggestion for Dr. Alvin that we should work with the in our countries, ally among us, and also discuss with the donor, and they also ally among them, and then we working together on the digital health. And you can see that one of the principle is that they will ally their investment in the country that are working on the national e-health strategy. The country that has the roadmap or the blueprints or the working on the governance on the architectures, which is what we have done in our network, the gaps, the governance, the architecture, the program management, and the standard and interoperability. Okay, there is another question from Dr. Yuda Iris Supatra. What the current AI topics discussed during the Winter Park meeting, and any donor inline digital health with current AI development for national strategy topic. There is no specific discussion about the artificial intelligence in the Winter Park meeting. They look at the principle. The main theme of the meeting is that how they gonna implement that principle in the countries, which means that they're talking about the global goods. So right now, we haven't had any development in the AI area that they define as the global goods. But they focus on how they can operationalize the principle and working together. To me, I feel like that they are forming the community of practice among the developing partner and donor, that they would like to work together, align their investment, working with the countries. So if you remember that before that, sometimes they didn't talk among them, so they implement or they have the project, the similar project in the countries, and that is the waste and also the burden to the country also. Okay, please, Arvin.
I think the donors are onto something here by coming out with the principle. I think you also come to realize that by working together, there would be benefits in consolidating strategy and also minimize fragmentation that happens when you approach development on a project-to-project basis. So I think by coming up with the principles, they're setting the groundwork for collaborating amongst themselves. And the nice thing there is that AHIN is also a platform amongst governments and ministries to collaborate amongst themselves. And that would be a good formula where the intersection of the donor platform and of the implementer platform could come together at some point, where they can get to agree on common things. And therefore, rather than so many different projects with so many different implementers on the ground, there will now be consolidation. When you were in Wilton Park, Dr. Bunchay, did you meet some of the funders and the donors and development partners? Their expressions of interest from some of them to start supporting collaboration over.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Alvin. That exactly what this principle come up with. I think among donor and developing partner, they sometimes they have the implementer, uh, the third party implementer or the consultant or in the countries. And this kind of the principle also apply to the implementer in the countries. And I think there is many stakeholders, not just people in the Ministry of Health, the private sector in the countries, the implementer or the consultant, and also the people who are the staff in the developing partner, like in the USAID, in the Gates Foundation. So actually, I think this principle apply not just for the people who work in the organization, but also the implementers in the country also, which is look at the big picture, align all your works and collaborate, working in the not reinvent things, using the principle of the digital development. You know, when I present the our network activity, many developing partner in that meeting are familiar with our network, and they also see our activity in our network. It kind of the model of the country sharing knowledge and working together. In the regional in the regional network, and many donors working in Africa, and they would like African countries. Looking at our model, and at that meeting, we also offer to all the regional that we can work together with other region to kind of share our experience how we work. So to our I think in that meeting I quite proud that we can work together in among our in our region, that we can we collaborate, and then people who work on the digital health, like in the developing partner or donor, see the value that we are working together, sharing knowledge. Yeah, and that this is a good news also, that at the meeting I have a conversation with one of the donor from the U.S., the McGovern Foundation. They are very interested, and when I said that AHIN is very, how can I say, agile, that we have a very we use very small resources and we can work off that, and I propose some project that to have the secretariat to expand the secretariat works in another regions, and also the platform that we use, and they are the foundation is very happy to support, and then we got the grant, the small grant to working on that kind of the maintenance our operation. I think this is one of the example that the donor, when we saw that we work together, then they are happy to support. For Alia, hello, Alvin, please.
Yeah, so would you think there's an opportunity for the Asian conversion where we support the Ministry of Health gathering all the other stakeholders in their country, the other agencies like the Ministry of ICT, the Health Insurance Organization, the Ministry of Finance, the academia and the private sector around shared national e-health strategy, do you think there's an opportunity to also invite the development partners to those convergence meetings so that we can now have that opportunity for the donor platform and the implementer platform to collaborate, even as it might just be at a country level? Would you think there would?
Hello. I think this is a good idea. I'm thinking about this too. We already done the convergent meeting in countries. Respond to the request from the country, from the Ministry of Health, that they will gather the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Finance, insurance agency together to know about or to realize and working about on the digital health, national digital health. And this might be a good opportunity that we merge the convergence both among the among stakeholders in the country, but also the developing partner which work in that country to work together and collaborate. We have several examples, like in Myanmar, in Bhutan, that when we conduct the convergent meetings, several developing partners, WHO, UNICEF, come with us, and they also align their investment. I think the convergence is a good example of how we can set up our discussion and then come up with the to see the big picture or the strategy together and work together on the developing the national e-health strategy or developing the national e-health information system and digital health. Alia has a question that can you share more about the digital atlas? I think, Alvin, the digital atlas developed by WHO, and the feature of their tools in our AHIN general meeting, I think twice. And I think this is a good tools. I think Alvin can elaborate more about the digital atlas tool.
We had a webinar already before from the. You go to the AHIN website. You go to the webinar portion to see one of the webinars for this year on the Digital Health Atlas. But the Digital Health Atlas, you can access digitalhealthatlas.org. The idea behind the atlas is to allow a country to monitor what e-health projects are running in the country. But they took a different approach. The approach is the ministry can ask all the different e-health stakeholders in the country to enter their data into digitalhealthatlas.org. And after the project enters their data into digitalhealthatlas.org, no one else will see it except the project owner and the Ministry of Health. Then the Ministry of Health can check whether the project is actually running in that particular area of the country, what types of data are being collected by that project. For example, it's about TB or it's about HIV. And then once the Ministry of Health says, okay, this is in fact a real project running here in this part of the country, it collects data about internal care, it will now be visible to the rest of the world. So I think the brilliance behind the Digital Health Atlas is that it was created by WHO before. And secondly, most of the work will now be on the project owner. For example, electronic medical record transfers or clinics, the private hospital. They can enter their own data in the platform, and that helps the Ministry of Health see what are the different health applications by country, so that you don't have to worry about this project. It becomes easier for a country to look at what is the landscape of the country without putting a lot of burden on the Ministry of Health.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alvin. I think that the voice that your voice is kind of the I don't quite sure that the other audience can listen well. To me, it's a kind of the a little bit chatter, but uh, uh, you can go to the web and look at the digital atlas. It's the WHO tool for populating all the digital health project in the countries. And like Dr. Alvin said, that they encourage all the stakeholders in the country to uh, put that project in that registry. So every the people in the country will see the what kind of the project digital health project happen in the country, and then they can look at the how these projects, are they duplicate, or they are conflicting, or they are working on the same area, something like that. And I think it is a good, and we also thinking as our regional network that we will have some session or training on the digital atlas. We will talking with the WHO headquarters that if they can have a provided training, that would be good for our network. Hello.
I just wanted to announce that we'll be having at least 2 convergence workshops.
Mm-hmm.
So they can stand by uh, in the mailing list when that would be. We would then take the opportunity to invite donors to attend the donation part and our signatories of the Principles of Donor Assessment to join us in those convergence workshops, because those would be very good opportunities to apply the principles and to get to understand each other, implementer perspective, and also the developing partner perspective. So thank you very much, Dr. Bunchay. Do we have other more questions before I announce our next meeting hour?
No, please. You can say the last word.
Dr. Bunchay for sharing his experience with the principles of donor alignment. We think that the environment is changing very fast in a very good way. People are now realizing that working together is better than working alone. We are now realizing that rather than creating tools over and over again, it's better if we share our tools to each other and make them into global good. It's cheaper, it's easier, and it's lower risk, because you know that this tool is also being used by other countries. So with that, thank you very much, Dr. Bunchay. I'd like to take this opportunity to close our next hour, which is part of our open community of practice. Professor Anis Fuad from the University of Gadjah Mada will be telling us more about how they plan to implement the Open Image community of practice in Indonesia. Open IMIS is short for Open Insurance Management Information System. It is a software that helps an organization manage its insurance system. But AHIN, working together with GED and Tropical Foundation, is now looking at improving Open IMIS, both on the technical side and also on the community side. So please join us here. I think Indonesia is a very interesting country. 180 million plus people, a lot of very good people working on health IT. Let's see how the University of Gadjah Mada plans to propagate concepts of open source insurance system and e-health in Indonesia. So with that, thank you very much. Good night to everyone. Thank you, Charisse. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Dr. Bunchay.